Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first podcast for season 12. I'm your host, Saul Goodman Jr., and tonight we have the infamous predictions chat with games coming on Sunday. With me in the podcast room tonight, I have, of course, Dorsey Furcow.
Hello. We're going live tonight, so who knows what's going to happen.
Right? First of its kind. Hopefully we don't say too many things that are wrong. We also, in the room tonight, we have Flat Diamond.
Hello.
And we have Oswald.
What's going on, guys?
And then, of course, we have Scarata.
Hey.
And last but not least, we have the Popo Vanquish. I knew it was coming. You didn't even tell me. I knew it was coming. Couldn't go one day without that. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking all about predictions. We've only seen people play in the preseason cup, really, or in friendlies, or if we matched up in league play while we were ranking up our pros. But Sunday's the start of season 12. So we're going to get into who do we think the true contenders are, who do we think the sleepers are, or just on the cusp of being a contender, and then who do we think is kind of going to be in the relegation battle. Starting with Super League, Vanquish, you represent the defending champions, so let's start with you. Who do you think is going to be the contenders for the season 12?
So I personally think Orlando is going to be up there. I mean, they play with us a lot, and they pretty much have our same play style. So I feel like they'll be up there. Also, AC Milan, they've added some good players, and most of the players have stayed consistent. It's been the same players. And then obviously Inter Milan, good EGM players, mainly the team known as Viva, where I think they were doubly known as the best team a couple of FIFAs ago. And then I guess I'll get a shout out to Manchester United too, because I played with them a bit and they look really nice. So I feel like out of them, they'll give us another fight for that title. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like Benfica is just gonna be lethal because, as all of you know, we picked up like 4 DMs, and then we just picked up Messinho as a striker to match up with Stone. So I don't know. I feel like we're gonna be pretty deadly as well.
Yeah. So what's the idea there? Are you just hoarding all of the CDMs? Is that what you're going for?
I don't know. That was something Chuck and the managers did. I mean, the main thing I knew that was coming was Lake and Wani, but then bringing in CM9. I mean, I don't know, but so far it's been working out because Wani and CM9 can both play DM or center back when needed. So it's a good match. It's a good pickup for us.
Sure.
And yeah, and then quality. I mean, they play our similar play style.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard pressed to not mention Benfica in your top 5. If you do, I'm not sure if you're following the league because they're back-to-back champions and they brought back pretty much everyone of that core except for Swifty, I think.
Yeah, he's at Man U now.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys are going to be up there, and I think there's going to be some repeats from last season, but does anyone have any new teams that they think are going to be in that top 5 now?
I think a lot of the teams that Vanquish just mentioned are definitely in with a shout. Obviously, we saw Benfica and Atlanta United. We saw the Atlanta United team with almost like a half roster turnover. I mean, they brought in 5-6 from Benfica, one of their DMs as well, Jamie from Inter, now a new Inter squad. Atlanta are going to go through kind of a feeling out period at first. I don't know if they're going to be maybe in that top 5 range when we get to maybe the halfway point of the season, but we could definitely see them make a late season push as that team grows into what they know they can be. And everybody sees the talent on paper. It's whether they can go out and put the product on the pitch. And I think maybe a team that Vanquish left out was Real Madrid. I mean, Deadjob's building a pretty solid back line and keeping a lot of the team that finished second in League One last season. And it was a very top-heavy League One there. So, if those players were in League One now, they would probably have won the title. So I could see Real Madrid getting into that Super League, that fifth spot, or rather that Super Cup fifth spot conversation. But I mean, there's so many teams that could be in that conversation. There's going to be some people that hate me for saying this, but I know a lot of the Lyon players, a lot of the they've won cups, trophies, awards. They're winners in other leagues, and they're looking to do it here as well. And if they a couple team of the weeks, a team of the season, and maybe a cup here or there, it would not surprise me at all.
It sounded, yeah, you broke up there a little bit on the second team, but based on what you said, I think you were saying Inter.
No, it's actually Lyon.
Lyon. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought you said
guys,
two teams.
guys like D. Shifty, AJ, those guys are at the top of the game over in Europe, here in North America, and if they did, it would not surprise me if they do at all.
Okay.
There are a lot of good teams this season in Super League, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, Super League is very top heavy. I think we know more.
I don't even think you can name a top 5, man. Like, you're right. Lyon is really slept on right now. Freaking Madrid are looking nice. Then we even got Juve. You guys seen the guys Juve picked up? Yo, this season's going to be real nice, to be honest with you guys. I'm actually really excited.
Yeah. I'll repeat. Yeah, pretty much all the teams mentioned. I think those are all. I think this conversation is almost morphing into already. We're talking about some sleepers because we mentioned about half the league already. I think for me, going into it, I'm just really excited as the admin seeing all the talent here. But I think like Benfica, Inter, Orlando, Juve, Milan, Atlanta, Lyon, Man U, any of those are kind of like the 8 I see a little above everyone else, and then we'll see the order they go in. But yeah, Real Madrid, Man City to me is the biggest sleeper. But we can wait to kind of go further into that. But yeah, I think the title conversation, I think it's going to be the lowest like point total for a title winner that we've seen since we've gone to 38 games. I think it's going to be extremely tight all the way through, and I'm just really excited to get it going.
There is one team you guys did not mention that is a sleeper right now, in my opinion, and I think that's PSG. I think they did really good.
PSG.
Yep,
I mean,
they beat.
lost a lot of players though, to be fair. But I mean, they made it far in the
But-
preseason.
Yeah.
Yep, they made it far. They beat Real Madrid. They barely lost against Atlanta, 1-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about PSG though, man, is they have a lot of new players. They have a lot of young ass people from like L2 and L1 too, man. So it's like it's gonna get to the point where experience is gonna be a big question into this.
Stay has to keep his team together.
And I think a key to the PSG that we see right now, over the past 2 guys come up with a lot of team of the season caliber players that have now moved on. Now it's a mission for him to replace those. You guys just talked about having those League 1, League 2 players, and we're still trying to see what kind of quality they can bring, because during the preseason cup they played very well, and obviously bringing back Lupe is a huge addition for that team. He wasn't going to come
scary
back.
right there, man.
He wasn't going to come back initially, but now he's decided, okay, I'm going to come back and play. That could be a huge boost for PSG's chances.
I think one good thing PSG do have is they have a really good backline, man. Their backline, people are sleeping on it. Like Yanni Greek, he used to play at NYC with me. He's a really, really good center back. He really likes to learn, which I'm hoping Stay takes him under his wing. And then even King Salar, they have a really nice backline, man. It's interesting to see where they're gonna end up, just because one of my things that's iffy about them is their midfield. I'm not 200% sure about their midfield. I'm not too convinced. But their attack set, defense set, is just that midfield that I feel is going to be a big thing.
Yeah, I think their defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. With Yanni and King Salar, they're going to be really, really good. I think a lot of people are sleeping on them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were sleeping on him, especially until the preseason cup. Because I don't know if many people have matched up with them or not, but when they got out there and they played some of the better clubs in PCN, we've been talking about Real Madrid, Atlanta, all those type teams that they've played in that cup. They surprising people by getting to the final, and it's unfortunate what Stay High has gone through. It seems like season after season, we've talked about his name plenty of times in the podcast about top quality manager or manager we want to play with, that kind of thing. It seems like he's rebuilding again. It is, like you guys said, really key for him to have Lupe back. Great striker up top. He's been great for a while. He got, I think, the 99 rating in the team of the season as a kind of a retirement type thing. And they decided he was going to unretire, so he pulled a Brett Favre. We'll see how that plays off for him.
Yeah.
I actually got to face Stay High's team this during the preseason cup. I'm in Real Madrid. One thing, like, I'm going back to the whole midfield thing, man, because it's like for Real Madrid, it was easy for us to get past the midfield, but again, that defense was just too difficult to get something out, man. And again, like, we lost the 120th minute goal, and that was like one of their five chances they had all 120th minute. But again, Lupe's just an animal, man. There's not much we could do about Lupe.
Yeah, we had him in the first round, and we conceded an own goal in the 4th minute, and that's ended up how we lost. But they applied a lot of pressure, and their back line kept them in it, and they played really, really well.
Yeah, I think
Depends. Did they play a 5-back?
No,
No,
Because
they
I know
played
that was
3.
that was a good thing that some of the teams started using that preseason cup.
Hearing all this kind of makes me like a little like I don't know, I guess irritated because I wish we would have had the chance to play all these teams. We only played a League 2 team. Not no disrespect thrown out, but I don't know. It would have been nice to play like PSG or those teams, but I mean we can't even get friendlies with some teams. I don't know. I feel like honestly, like I don't know. You guys don't have to listen to this, but I feel like the preseason would have been different if we would have been able to gone further.
We're going to gloss
Yeah,
over
and-
that subject real quick.
yeah, I wouldn't put too much weight on preseason because again, it's preseason, but we're seeing what teams can maybe against either a lower quality opposition or a higher quality opposition.
So we got some top fives in the chat. Medic says PSG, of course, that's his squad. Benfica, Atlanta, Man U, and Chelsea. I don't think we talked about Chelsea too much. Ochoa is saying Benfica, Real Madrid, Chelsea, PSG, and Inter in no specific order. And then Strikers, sorry, says Benfica, 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 Benfica. So he's not a homer at all.
Yeah.
You know what's one team no one's talking about is NYC, man.
Yeah, so
Yes, they also did good.
that's what I was going to move on to next is sleepers. We've talked about pretty much 8 teams or maybe 9 teams in total so far, but who have we not mentioned? And you kind of started it off. You can continue your thought there. That we think is on the cusp. That's just outside of the top 8 or so currently, just based on what we know.
See, I say NYC just because obviously those guys, they're my boys. I know them very well. Bob's really building a really, really nice team, and it's a bunch of people no one really knows about. It's like not people who are out there in PCN or anything like that, but these guys really, really do perform. They literally play. They don't play just like to score a goal and then they sit back. They play all 90 minutes without literally what we can always say is all heart, all heart, all heart. They literally play all heart. They don't give up. They keep on going. They keep on fighting. So for me, I think they're a team that's really being slept on. They got Train back there. Train's looking real nice so far, and Bob up top as well. So I always felt like he's been a very good striker. But I don't know. I don't know if it's just me being biased, But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we played them last night in the first round, and we didn't know what to expect because we hadn't heard anything about them, and we hadn't ever played them in the preseason. And they were tough. They got a bit of a fortunate goal. Basically, the goalie went to go pick it up at the top of the box, reached down, and decided to just not grab it. So their striker toe poked it, ran around him, and kicked it in. and then they scored in the 92nd minute when we were pushing. But it's not like we played good enough and had 15 chances and didn't put one away. It probably was a game that should have gone extra time and didn't for whatever reason. But we can't really say that we were hard done. And they went on a good run, getting all the way to the semis last night. So
Yeah, they
yeah.
got beat a lot of big teams. Like I think they beat United as well too, right?
Yeah.
Yep, they did.
I also
Depends.
I mentioned Man City earlier. I think every season that team is gelling a little bit more, and I don't think I would hate to sleep on them if I was a team in this league. And I think the other team I want to shout out is Leverkusen. I think they're still putting together the depth they need and figuring out the final piece of that lineup. But like the top end of that team and some of the players that can really carry them, there's not many teams in the Super League that have some of like the top, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 players that they do.
I've actually got to play with Leverkusen a couple of times. They actually really do have a really nice team. That's a really good shout. And Man City as well too, man. To be honest, Man City's looking really nice. They got my boy Winnie over there, and Jays is one of those keepers that you guys should keep an eye on. He's really good. I think he just came out the cut last season. So Man City's actually a really good shout. They're looking really nice, to be honest.
Yeah, quite a few people agree with you, Dorsey. Chelsea, City, Leverkusen, the sleepers. Speaking of Leverkusen, that's a lot of the players, not a lot, but there's some of the key players from Lazio that finished fourth went over there. So Darcy and Spicy to name two. So that they have experience doing well, and they've played a bunch of seasons in PCN, so they know what they're doing. I would be remiss to not mention them and someone who can just put it together, but maybe we just haven't seen quite enough yet.
I think it would also be somewhat criminal not to mention Chelsea in this sleeper midfield station. Guys like William, who had a fantastic World Cup with Seychelles, and Drew at the back, and obviously bringing in Chronic up top, who is a known goal scorer, puts in loads of goals every season. Having that kind of player up top is always a game changer.
All right, well, let's move on to less hopeful teams that we think in Super League that are going to be in the relegation battle. What do you guys think? Who have you seen so far that you're really worried about as far as the season goes on?
Lazio. They from what I heard, they are losing players, a lot of players, and it's because Ace is trying to build something going on in his team, and I don't know if he's gonna have a team for Sunday.
Yeah, I don't think he has many signings from what I.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for Ace. That was probably I don't know if it's his best finish, but one of his better finishes last season. And he lost pretty much everyone. And I've seen him in the trial section posting like pretty much every day that he's trialing all positions. And at this point in time, that's brutal.
Yeah. No, last season was definitely his best ever finish as a man. Really surprised people. We're in the title race for at least half or 2/3 of the season. And, I don't want to reveal too much, but it seems like he really just kind of waited till FIFA 20 to kind of, get his team together and didn't realize that every other team in Super League and the league mostly as a whole was going to go ahead and start signing and recruiting in FIFA 19. And so he all of a sudden got to FIFA 20 a couple weeks ago and realized that all these players he thought he might have a shot at were already signed elsewhere. So I think I know he demands a lot from his teams in terms of preparation, in terms of practice and things like that. And I don't think that's a bad approach to have, but I think a lot of things just kind of spiraled into a kind of a tough situation for him at the season. I wouldn't count him out. I wouldn't say he's going to get relegated, but I don't think it's as a neutral. It's hard to argue that as of now the team looks like it might be down there.
For me, I mean, a lot of people are going to disagree, but I put I'm at input, but I think looking at the roster, I feel like Dortmund will struggle. Just seeing the roster, I know some of their players, and I know some of their players haven't played Super League level yet. So I think they just might be stuck in that League One mentality. I don't know. Like preseason is one thing, but actually playing the league matches throughout the season, it's a whole different scenario. So I feel like that point that just comes with experience because Super League is a completely different. game.
Vanquish, what team did you say?
Dortmund.
They've got a lot of Super League experience. Leak managed there for 6.
League, yeah. I mean, League
Yeah.
is their
But I mean,
striker, but
even a lot of
apart
his
from that, like
players have played.
Can I mention something? Because I used to be in that team.
yeah, go for it.
I have a really good story. So basically, after we got promoted, they decided to cut me.
Mhm.
That's why I am not in Super League anymore. And as of recently, they couldn't find a replacement, so they decided to try and get me now. And I'm like, no, I'm already signed for someone else. If you want me, come get me alone. And I didn't hear a response. So I'm
Yeah,
guessing
I'm
they're
not.
trying to find people, or they're running out of people. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. I was in that Discord, so I kind of saw that they were having a lot of internal issues. I don't want to say specifically what, but that team, I don't know.
They
Hold on.
they always surprise. They always surprise us. So let's hope they're not in relegation.
I think Dortmund are one of those teams, and we saw it in the playoff final in which
Like I said,
they
we're
eventually
gonna
did.
disagree. But it's just my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I think Dortmund are going to be one of those teams that, while they had, I mean, I'm looking at their Fuji could probably make his way onto half of the Super League teams. I can
Yeah.
say that. I can say Leak could do the same. But I
Tony?
think, yeah, I think Tony could do the same. I think Medic could do the same. I think the issue is they play a style that is maybe not as suited to Super League,
I
and
guess
they were able to.
That's a better way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think their style
play
of
style.
play is more because I
Very
mean we saw
defensive.
it's very defensive, and it's solid. You moved away. That was what you're part of their a key piece of that back line, and I think losing key players in key positions and playing a brand of football that maybe isn't as suited to Super League could come back to bite them. But I mean, informed leak could pop up any
Yeah,
time,
no.
so anything could happen with that team.
They
Yeah.
also did get Shamrock, but it's
He,
a questionable signing for me.
he's a League One striker. I'll just say that.
He's never played in Super League, so you gotta test
Yeah.
yourself at some point, and that's what he's doing. To move away from them for a second, Villarreal is just a team I'm a little worried about. They're coming together a little late. I think they lost some people this offseason. This is last season's Chelsea. I know the players they have are talented, and if they get enough people in and they get them committed, they're probably not going to be anywhere near there. But I just know as of now, with the numbers they have and getting that team together a little bit late, that's a team that could find themselves further down than they otherwise maybe would expect to be.
Yo, not to throw shade or anything, but Villarreal in Super League? What?
They were
Yeah.
here last season, no?
They've been in Super League.
Yeah.
So, but they were also last season's Villarreal switched to Chelsea, and then Chelsea switched with them to be Villarreal.
They did a catch up. I mean, and then I think I don't know if you guys would agree, but I think Liverpool. Well,
I was just about to mention Liverpool. If they will be maybe relegation candidates off the rip, but I think one thing goes wrong in that team, whether it be they get blown out by a team or an internal issue, and we could see some issues. I think we kind of saw it at the near the middle to the end of last season, and it more or less resulted, if I understand the situation correctly, with Talentless moving away from Liverpool, obviously playing for the club he supports. He's now with Atlanta United and has stayed there. But I mean, obviously the two key men are Rowdy and Champagne, and they're going to be asked to do a lot in this team. And I think it's a solid team on paper. but let's see how it goes as far as execution, because there's still a lot to be seen from this Liverpool side.
I think one team for me is Arsenal. Haven't seen much of them, to be honest, but I don't.
I have. They're pretty okay. I think they'll do fine. They won't be in relegation.
They're
Honestly.
pretty okay. The grammar in that
Yeah.
saying.
They're pretty okay.
Thank
I
you,
was
Flat.
seeing everybody talking
They'll be
about.
fine.
I think Arsenal are a team that, right, they have about one high-end player in each aspect of the pitch, and that could probably be enough to move them away from the relegation. Having Con in net, having Slipkid in your back line, that's already a recipe for success. Bringing in a guy like Scholesy, and
Spurs.
yeah, Spurs. Obviously, Beaton is there as well. He's built himself a very good team, Beaton. He's kind of gone out and looked at the League One talent and said, right, these are positions I need to work on. These are players I want to get, and he's gone out and gotten those players. And I think Arsenal be really in that bubble between midfield scrap and battling for relegation. But I think it's fairly, without anything too crazy going on, they should avoid any sort of relegation scare.
I just think it's at this point there was no easy choice here for any of us. I don't think there's no walkovers anymore. There's going to be a good and talented team that gets relegated, at least one, if not two, like legitimately good, solid teams. I think it's going to come down to the team that has some bad luck this season in 50-50 type games, the team that has a player decide to leave who's a key player, the team that has an internal issue. I think that's going to be the teams that get relegated. But I don't think there's any team you look at on paper and you're like, that team's just not talented enough. They're going to go down.
I haven't heard anybody talk about NYCFC. I mean, where do people see them? Floating, because no one said anything about relegation or title contenders. I mean, they were pretty close to relegating last year, weren't they? Or last season?
It's a different team.
Yeah, it's a different team. That team started off as a Man City, like split off, I guess you could say. Then that team folded, and a new manager came in, and now he's not here anymore. So NYCFC is Bob McStuffin is the manager over there. I haven't seen anything of him, so I can't have a prediction on him either way. Have any of you guys seen him?
Your boy Willie saved him from relegation. Hey.
I think we talked about them a little bit in the sleepers.
Are you sure
Actually.
you carry them, bro?
Yeah.
I think how people had them down as a sleeper. I think they're a team that if things don't go right, maybe go down there. But I think they're more likely to be a solid mid-table with upside kind of team, at least from what we saw last night.
Yeah, I think NYC are kind of in the same boat, that the players, maybe not to the extent that Arsenal do, but they have the players to get by in Super League. It's going to be a matter of step and get into that 12th, 11th, 10th, maybe the table. And are they really going to at push, or is it going into the season with the mindset of, okay, let's not get relegated? And it's going to really be the style of football they come out with that I think determines how this team does this season.
All right. Well, I think we've touched on pretty much every team in Super League. So let's move on to League One. Same starting question as we did in Super League. What League One teams do you think are contenders and why?
I want to look up at League One real quick.
All right, I'll lead off then. I would say LAFC is the first one that comes to mind. Jalop's built a really, really good squad there. Wolverhampton's another one with Smokebreak running that team. There was a running joke that he was basically signing everybody, but he's got a lot of talent in there. We played him a few times. They're very, very solid. Valencia is another one. I mean, Death Row Tola, Mamba, I mean, there's nothing else that really needs to be said with them. They're going to score goals. Those are the three that I have pretty much the leading candidates in League One.
Yeah, looking at League One now, I feel like so for sure Wolverhampton, a lot of Super League player experience. Monaco, led by Kaz, picked up some quality players, and he's very experienced. Valencia, looking at their squad, everyone looks pretty solid besides that Saul Goodman Jr. guy.
Yeah, he's trash.
He's pretty cheeks. Yeah.
He be playing midfield, I heard.
Yeah, I heard he's moving up to Cam because he was so bad at center back. So center back did not work out for him, and so he'll be moving forward to maybe find a better position for him.
He should play goalie.
Nobody wants that.
All have
I don't know. Dorsey's a pretty good goalkeeper. He can show you some tricks.
Hey, I played it for the boys last season, and I am the career per game saves leader in goalie for PCN. I had 13 saves in one game back in season 8. Gonna flex a little. But anyway, I think that the first three you mentioned, Oswald, that was 3 of the 4 in my list. LAFC, especially with Batty going down there, and if he brings in 1 or 2 of his friends over from the other side of the pond, they're gonna just tear up League One defenses. Valencia looked really strong again. They were really close to promotion last season, and then I do think Monaco. Curious to see how it all shakes out. I talked to Kaz a lot, but I haven't really seen them in the field too much. But I feel like that's gonna be a good team. And the other one I would throw in, I haven't played them much, and I don't know how it's really gelled. But Atalanta, on paper, they have a lot of players who used to be Team of the Week and Team of the Season Super League players. I don't know how it's coming together over there, but on paper, at least, that's a team that I think should expect to be in the title mix.
Yeah, I think Atalanta are going to be in to play against. Especially, obviously, bringing in Slaves on loan from Atlanta. They're going to be a side that I think was one of those teams that was assembled somewhat late, but is able to bring in the players that they could, and I think they won't be an easy opponent for anybody in League One. They will be not a scrappy team that could maybe against the lower sides just bag a ton of goals. Playing those higher end teams will look to maybe sit back, hit on the counter, and kind of adjust their style of football for who they play against.
You guys forgot to mention Newcastle, aka Frankfurt.
Mm-hmm.
That team is
The old
like
Frankfurt.
really, really nice, man. Hinkley built a really nice team. I think it'd be between Newcastle, LA, and possibly even Fiorentina, man. Fiorentina are looking real nice this season, so I'm really excited to see what they come out with.
Hey, I'm in Fiorentina, actually.
My top 6 includes that Newcastle old Frankfurt team. It also included AS Monaco. We've mentioned Atalanta. We've mentioned. And then LAFC, as well as I think Valencia will do quite well. And then I think Wolverhampton is in that discussion. I think we've mentioned all of those teams, and I think for good reason too. Like all of y'all have said, they have players who have been there, done that. It's pretty much of a known quantity as far as those teams are concerned.
It's like a side question, but why did you guys bring a team that's so close to like a? Because when I saw Atalanta, I'm like, oh, they messed up. They put Atlanta in two leagues. Similarly close.
It's a really interesting real life club, and they're having a lot of success right now in real life. And Roberto, that was the team he really wanted to bring in, and so there was no real reason to not bring them in. Just call Atlanta like United or ATL United or ATL UTD. Just like don't call them just Atalanta and Atlanta because it will confuse everyone.
No, see, the Vanquish, the real story is they wanted to have Atlanta and Atalanta in the marquee matchup so that when I'm commentating, or Scarata, we're just Atalanta. Oh, shit.
I mean, it's 10 times better than having Marseille on the market.
Martial? Is that who you meant?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, fair enough.
Their way to League Two.
All right, so we've talked about the contenders, and we've got pretty much a top 6-ish there that we kind of all touched on. Are there any sleepers that you think are just outside of that you're interested to see move forward, or have we kind of touched them in the contenders and the other teams that are more unknown?
I think an interesting team that got promoted from League Two last season is going to be Fiorentina. They have a style of play and a style of pressing that is extremely good for a team that just came from League Two. I mean, it's organized, it is aggressive, and obviously, if you've ever watched Liverpool play in real life, it is that sort of intensity all around the pitch. The only place that, though, they might have a few issues is with their defense. Playing them, they were maybe picked apart a little bit too easily for their comfort. But I think I could really mitigate that is hit him up. They were able to bring him back. He was their little League Two starlet, and a player of his quality could do very well in this team, and even promoted can maybe make a name for himself in League One, find himself a Super League move or whatever happens with him. But I could see him being an extremely impactful player for their team.
So that's an interesting pick. Their problem in League Two is that they couldn't play defense. Have they picked up anyone in that regard to kind of solidify it? Like, what do you see them doing defensively?
See, and that's exactly where I think they struggle to get into that maybe first through third spot and could maybe nick a sixth or a fifth or a sixth place and get into that playoff conversation. Most of their defense is then on the other half of the pitch, relying on their forwards and their midfielders to go with that aggressive press. I think once that is broken, that's when they get exposed. But it would not surprise me if there were another signing or two made to improve that back line. Who it is, I have no idea. We'll have to see. But I think if they're listening to it right now, a defensive upgrade would be extremely beneficial.
No, we're listening.
You see, I think their defense isn't too bad, to be honest, because they have my boy Houndon over there. He's a really good CB. I think the issue he had last season was when he's a very aggressive player, and last season we all know that when someone was aggressive, the ball would just bounce right back to them. But this season, it's a little bit different, you know. Like the defending mechanics are very, very different. But I do agree with you that the way they press is really, really good. They're very, very organized when they press. And I think this is gonna be one of those Liverpool things again too. It's if they could outscore the other team. But I personally believe that they're definitely a sleeper team. Them and I think the other team that are actually really really low key was I don't know why I think Bayern are one of the sleepers in there, man. They were able to stay there, and I know my boy Clorox he's been scouting, he's been doing a lot of work, so I feel like they might be able to work something out there.
Yeah, I've got a few, and it's mainly teams and players that I know they have experience either in other leagues or with like other teams in the past, but they're kind of new this season. So I'm not gonna really go into depth on any of them because I just don't know. But LA Galaxy, I know there's a lot of experienced players there. Santa Clara, same thing. Young Boys, and then the two that just got added this week, there's a new Wolfsburg and new Frankfurt managers. I know both of them sound like they have some good players. So I think one of those group of five at least is going to be that team, kind of like Braga last year, that kind of just appeared there in the top six and stayed all season. I don't know which one it could be. Maybe one of the teams is in the relegation zone. I don't know. But just hearing what I've heard about them and seeing the rosters they have, those are kind of my group of the main sleepers in terms of I just don't know what to expect, but they could be really good.
Dorsey,
I'm
do
curious.
you think any of those teams are going to be the Orlando of this year?
No, I don't see there being there isn't one of those teams that's coming, because Orlando was basically a team that had competed at the high levels in like the top divisions of leagues, and we kind of knew going into last season when they got added, this team's probably going to win the title if not finish second. I don't think any of these five or any of the existing teams, I don't think there's that team this season. I don't think there's that one or two teams that you can say are locks to get promoted, which I find really awesome about League One, is that it's kind of like Super League in that there's a bunch of teams that could be in the mix, and there's a bunch of good teams that'll be in the mid-table, and every game day you're going to bring it, or you're not going to be where you want to at the end of the season.
Yeah, I was saying I just want to see how Seattle Sounders do, because I don't know if you guys been paying attention to Discord, how much they've been talking. They're claiming to be the best right now because they beat Benfica and Atlanta in not even friendly, smalls. So I just want to see if they can play as how they quote, like they're like the best League 2 team.
Well, since
Or
you've mentioned
League 1 team, my bad.
Seattle
they're League 1, right?
Sounders, yeah, they're in League One.
They're League 1. Okay. Cool.
A few people mentioned them in their relegation battle, so we'll move on to relegation battle so that some teams can address them. Speaking of which, Strikers, the Benfica representative in the chat, donated 245 bits. Thanks for that. And said, Seattle is ass and grass is Earth's pubes. Join my campaign. So there's that. He does not think Seattle is very good, and a few other panelists mentioned him as well. Why don't you guys pick up there since Seattle was mentioned?
Okay, I'll lead off on that. I put Seattle in the relegation zone. New team, new players, and then plus all the Discord chatter about how they're so good, they're this, that, and the other. That's going to rub a lot of these veterans the wrong way, and they're just going to get the best from each team every time, and people are going to be hyped to play them. I think that's going to be the downfall to them.
Yeah, don't beat that team, please. If you beat someone in the smalls, I think you're like I don't know. That just irritates me. Like it's smalls for crying out loud. It's just I'm pretty sure they're doing it on purpose to get this kind of attention. But as I don't know who just spoke, Oswald. Yeah. I mean, it just hypes up teams to when they play them. So in a sense, they're just hurting themselves.
Yeah, it could backfire. It could also work in their favor if they do get some exposure. Maybe they start off well and then they attract some better players because they they have a little bit of clout. For me, I think Schalke was a team that was in the relegation battle all last season, and it seemed like they have just a lot of the same players. So based upon just logic, and that I think League One is going to be more competitive, I think they're going to have to step it up if they want to avoid that. There's also a fourth team getting relegated this season, so it's going to be a little trickier to stay in the division. And then Crystal Palace is having some issues over there. They may be a team that has to be replaced by Sunday, which I don't want to have to do, but that might happen. But even if they don't, the current team just seems a little unstable. So that's going to be a team that I think maybe has some difficulties this season as well.
Yeah, I think the new Frankfurt is another one that could see the relegation battle. He's in there a lot. I don't think he's really filled out a full team. Grant, I think he just got but that could be another team that's on the cusp of relegation.
And Dorsey, going back to what you were saying about Crystal Palace, I'm just looking at their schedule to open the season. It's not very optimistic. A lot of the teams that we were talking about as potential title contenders are on the front half of the schedule, and we know what demoralization can do to a team. LAFC, the Newcastle, Fiorentina, Young Boys, Valencia, all in their first week of action, and that is having a start at can really put a team down, and a team that is already having internal issues. This is only going to compound the problem.
Yeah, that's not an easy start to the schedule by any means, and especially putting in a team together this late. I feel like that's tough. But let's see if they can bring some other people in. Any other teams you guys think should be mentioned in the relegation battle, or you want to expand on a little bit more?
I think a team that I hate to put in there because they're really the Inter Miami guys, they just they seem extremely raw, and by raw I don't mean they've never played clubs or 11s before, but I think team they're just starting to come out, and Inter Miami just seemed like one of those teams that just don't quite have the quality of a League One side to hang with the rest of the league. Eventually get relegated is obviously why we play the season, but if should they go down, I can't say I would be extremely surprised to see them there.
All right. Well, it sounds like we've wrapped up League One. Doesn't seem like anyone else has anything else to add there. We've got the final mentioned by Scarata. So let's move on to the last league of the night, League Two. Until Dorsey adds League 3, then I can finally have a league where I'll star in. So what League 2 teams do you think are true contenders and why?
I would say Atletico. I feel like they're probably going to contend. I mean, I just want to add, I very quickly looked at the League 2 teams, and most of these players I've never heard of. So I feel like it just shows as a league that PCN is growing. I mean, we're having new teams, new players come up. So I feel like League 2 is going to be very balanced all around. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think another team in League 2 that I think everybody has a little soft spot for is Yanez and Ajax. I think this Ajax team has brought in some players that I could be more or less the formula for success to get them into that promotion conversation, whether they get automatically promoted, win the League 2 title, or go through the playoffs. But I think somehow they find their way into League 1 for next season. I think I don't think anybody would be more relieved than Yanez himself. He's been trying to get some team promoted for I think a couple seasons.
I think one team you guys are missing out is Napoli. I think the new manager, his name's A.O. John.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact he's brought in his whole AO crew, and that team is actually a really good team. And I feel like that whole team is a little bit way too good to be in League 2. I feel like them, Roma, and Atletico, those are gonna be the top 3 for me. Obviously, Harry Pickles out here, him and Moles the Beast, top goal scorer at L2. You hear it here first.
Didn't AO a couple seasons back try to bring their whole team?
Yeah, they did.
Kind of went downhill.
Yeah. I think I don't think they're out. Like I don't think they're a super league quality team. They could be a league quality team, and if you're a League 1 quality team in League 2, it means you should be in the title contention. So I think if those guys all stick it out and really get into it, I think they can be up there, and I think surprise some people. Last team I kind of want to mention is Barcelona. I don't know how they've been playing this preseason, but I just know in order to save face for the debacle that was last season, /Frost over there and all your guys, you really need to get yourselves promoted. Get Barcelona back in League 1. Kind of erase the sad end that was last season. Because if you guys don't get promoted, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in that team.
Yeah.
Yeah, this where Rio would chime in and say, "I predicted it. I predicted it."
Well, since I am in League 2 and I played a lot of these teams,
Just about to say, Oswald, this is where you need to pipe up.
This is where my time to shine is.
Mm-hmm.
So Roma is definitely first team that comes to mind. You know, despite them being like the Discord warriors that they are, they do have a very solid squad. They're very good defensively, and they got some solid strikers up top. Obviously, my squad is an Atletico. I think the addition of Elements of God, Pancake Waffle, and Jeepers was huge to really set us above. Plus, we brought in some good talent. Some of the new people to PCN, but I think they're going to make an impact. Like Booch Boy, Zesty Wang is another one that I think is going to play very, very well. I think Barcelona is going to be up at the top. I don't think they're going to make the same mistake they made last season. And from playing Ajax, I think Giannis made a name for himself in the World Cup, and he's brought in some talent. This is not going to be what it was last year, where they were steamrolled at the beginning of the season. They have a very, very good squad. I think they're definitely going to be in the top 4.
All right. Well, what about sleepers? What about on the cusp? You've mentioned a bunch of teams, Oswald. I believe I want to say it was Scarata. You mentioned 20 in your sleepers that we haven't touched on much. Have you seen them in friendlies or?
Out and about. I remember. I think I watched just one of their streams, just peeping in on them, seeing what all they were up to. And they were playing some pretty free flowing game. I think an issue for them is just getting that squad built and getting it built in such a way that they can operate on it. And obviously with again, no disrespect for teams in League 2, but you just need to be able to field an 11 that wants to play, wants to show up for every game day, and wants to play well. And I think that's just the key to success to being in League 2 and really starting out there. Because you're going to find a lot of the players in PCN that, nobody wants to go to League 2. But I think 20 could kind of field a team that no one's ever heard of, but some of these teams we've just recently mentioned could get a rude awakening when they go to play them, because I think they're a team that could just be a solid all-around team group of guys.
I was gonna say, even like if you don't do hot in League 2, I mean, you can't get relegated. So just play it out.
And last season, he started as the Schalke manager in League 1, and I don't know if you remember, but after the first, 6 to 8 games, that team was like second in the table. And then there was some internal issues there, and eventually JCB gave up the manager spot, and the rest of the team kind of went downhill after that. That's why I mentioned them as a possible League 1 relegation team. But it also showed that JCB, the 20 manager, he basically put that team together at Schalke, out of nowhere, like basically bringing people in from everywhere. It seems like he's doing that again with 20, and I haven't played them. I know he doesn't have like a full 11 signed up yet, but I think that's a decent shout. I think a couple I wanted to mention. First of all, there's just a bunch of, so it's hard to mention everyone, but there's a bunch of new teams that are coming in that could really surprise you. But I think the two teams I want to mention real quick is Everton. I think they started to play more solid football throughout last season, and they brought back most of the roster. They've made a couple additions. I know they seem really active, and I've heard some good things about them in a couple friendlies. And then West Ham's a team that I think has come together pretty well. And from talking to Unisolated, it seems like he's really got his shit together. Sorry for the language, but yeah, those would be maybe the two I would shout out.
God damn.
Flat, you mentioned Ajax, Portos, and Atletico. We already touched on Atletico. What about the other two? Have you seen them play?
I've seen Ajax. What's it called? They've been streaming a
Ajax.
lot. Ajax. I can't say their name, but
Come on, bro.
Hey, it's my job to mispronounce things. Stop encroaching on the territory. All right.
So what you're saying is we can't have Saul and Flat Diamond on commentary together.
Yeah. It'll be a disaster. No, but continue, Flat. Go ahead.
But I've seen them streaming a lot. One King Giannis, right? I see him streaming a lot, and I think I played against him once, but it wasn't his full team. It was like half. I think I heard that he wanted to quit at one point. Not sure.
His game.
I don't know if that's right.
He was getting the gray screen glitch.
Yeah, he basically was.
Oh, okay.
He just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
He got real frustrated and left, and then came back, and he's back at it. No harm done.
Yo,
It's
Giannis
fine.
is never gonna quit, man. I love that guy. He literally
Yeah.
does not care, man. He just has so much passion. That's what I love about him. He's such a positive person, such a positive spirit. I think Ajax, yeah, don't sleep on him, man.
Yeah, no.
Don't sleep on him.
They be playing a lot,
Yeah.
so
I actually enjoy seeing his pictures in the Discord when he takes pictures on top of a work site or whatever. It makes me happy. He looks so happy. So
I absolutely love Giannis. This man could be like conceding 10 goals a game, not scoring at all, and still be the happiest dude in the world. Just taking pictures with his hard hat and safety vest on his construction
and a
site.
big old
Like,
smile.
oh my god, that smells
loving
huge,
life.
bro. I would be so mad if that was me, but this man can wake up with a smile every day. That's crazy.
He's a good dude. I wish the best
Shout
for him.
out to Giannis, bro. Shout out to Giannis.
All right. Any other teams you'd like to mention on League Two before we wrap this bad boy up? I'll take that as a no.
I'm on the season.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got to thank Dorsey for co-hosting again. Thank all of the panelists for joining me in tonight. I appreciate all of y'all, and I appreciate everyone in the chat tuning along as well. Y'all have a good night. Take care. We'll see you next time.